Your financial condition is not an accident. It is not a mystery. And it is not being decided by interest rates, paychecks, headlines, or your background. I will not permit you to continue assigning your lack to anything but the only thing the law ever listens to: your word. You are not broke because you were born in lack. You are broke because you kept speaking as if it were final. You repeated the verdict of limitation as if it were law. And because the law is not moved by justice but by jurisdiction, it obeyed you. It obeyed every careless phrase, every agreement with poverty, every habit of smallness. It obeyed what you said, not what you felt, not what you wanted, not what you prayed for, what you spoke. You see, the universe is not emotional. It does not respond to your tears. It does not shift because you're tired. It does not move because you wish. It moves when you speak, and it moves according to the tone, identity, and rhythm of what you say. I tell you plainly, lack is not loyal to your situation. It is loyal to your sentence. Whatever you keep repeating becomes law, and whatever becomes law must shape your life. It must form the bank account. It must form the delay. It must form the bill that shows up right after you mutter under your breath, "That always happens to me." Because to the law, that sentence was not casual. It was a command. The spiritual realm does not understand sarcasm. It does not wait for context. It does not ask what you meant. It obeys what you said, and it builds your world not according to your dreams, but your declarations. You may say, "But I didn't mean it that way." The law does not care. It is not human. It is precise. It is mechanical. It is surgical. It fulfills the rhythm you establish with your voice. That rhythm, whether lack, delay, fear, or abundance, is what the invisible must obey. So I ask you now, what has your voice been building? What have you been speaking as law without knowing it? What pattern of sentences has taught the universe to deliver shortage as if it were your inheritance? I can't afford that. I don't know how I'll make rent. Money's tight right now. These are not innocent phrases. They are spoken agreements. They are contracts. They are covenants you signed with your own tongue. And every time you repeat them, the law renews the contract. Every time you speak them, the invisible says, "Confirmed." And every time you whisper them in fear or frustration, the universe doesn't correct you. It complies. You have not been blocked by the world. You have been blocked by your rhythm. Your voice has been speaking two languages, one in your affirmations, another in your emotions. One in the morning when you declare supply, another in the afternoon when you sigh in doubt. And I will tell you with finality, the law is not moved by the strongest sentence. It is moved by the most repeated one. The dominant rhythm decides. The consistent voice commands. The law always delivers to the master of the mouth, not the master of intention. There is a law you have ignored, though it has never ignored you. It is not a theory. It is not a metaphor. It is a spiritual mechanism. It is called the law of substitution. And I tell you now with authority, until you obey it, you will remain in cycles of shortage no matter how hard you work, no matter how much you study, no matter how long you wait. Because the law does not reward desire. It rewards substitution. It rewards the one who replaces the lie with truth, and does so with rhythm, with repetition, with fire. The law of substitution says this: you cannot think two things at once. You cannot believe in divine supply and still speak lack. You cannot declare abundance and still mutter fear. You cannot serve two masters. The lie and the truth cannot occupy the same mouth without chaos. And where there is chaos, the law halts. Where there is double-mindedness, the delivery pauses. Where there is contradiction between speech and source, the harvest is suspended. Not because heaven is punishing you, but because the command is unclear. The rhythm is broken, and the invisible cannot translate a conflicted voice. You want to prosper? Then stop giving your tongue to defeat. You want increase? Then stop serving the phrases of limitation. You cannot continue to describe your past and expect your future to look different. You cannot continue to narrate shortage and expect to exit it. You cannot keep defending your condition with stories and logic and language soaked in defeat, and then turn around and say, "But I believe I'm abundant." The law does not believe you, because your voice does not agree with your hope, and the law does not respond to hope. It responds to harmony. I do not care what the numbers say. I do not care what the news says. I do not care what the family says. I care what you say, because that is the only thing the law listens to. It is deaf to your doubt. It is blind to your balance. It is unshaken by your budget. It responds only to your rhythm. And if your rhythm is soaked in fear, in delay, in confession of limitation, then no matter how spiritual you try to act, the result will still be lack. Because rhythm is reality, and your wealth will never rise above your words. You say, "But Florence, what do I do when I feel afraid?" I say, replace it. Do not wait for the fear to pass. Do not process it. Do not share it. Replace it. Speak the opposite. Declare what the law has said, not what your family has echoed. You say, "But I feel silly speaking wealth when my account is low." Then I say, feel silly, but speak anyway. Because the law is not waiting for your confidence. It is waiting for your obedience. Your job is not to feel like a millionaire. Your job is to speak as one until the rhythm takes root, until the pattern becomes automatic, until your vibration writes a new script and heaven rushes to match it. You say, "But I was raised around poverty." I say, then this must be your moment to replace the family rhythm, not to resent them, not to blame them, but to rewrite the code. You are not betraying their history by speaking wealth, you are redeeming it. You are not being prideful, you are being lawful. Because the past is not the law, the pattern is not the law, the feeling is not the law. The only law is the one you obey with your voice. And the moment your voice stops rehearsing old identity and starts declaring divine truth, the law must move. Not eventually, not when it feels right, immediately. You are not a beggar, but if you keep speaking like one, the law must treat you like one. Not because it is cruel, but because it is obedient. Your voice is the only command it knows. So if you keep whispering defeat, it will keep delivering evidence to support it. If you keep muttering lack, it will keep showing up dressed as delay. If you keep describing your fear, it will keep delivering proof to justify it. And if you keep asking why nothing is changing, the answer is simple. Your voice has not changed. Let me say it plainly. You do not need more effort. You need more substitution. You do not need more hustle. You need more command. You do not need more time. You need more rhythm. Speak it, say it, declare it, replace the old agreement, burn the old phrase, rewire the pattern with law, because until your language changes, your reality cannot. And the law, though holy and perfect, will continue to obey your poverty if that's what you keep calling in. So I say this to you now, you are not waiting on a miracle. You are not waiting on the universe. You are not waiting on timing. You are waiting on your own mouth to stop contradicting your inheritance. You are waiting on your own tone to stop muting your authority. You are waiting on your own language to stop giving loyalty to the voice of fear. And the moment you stop speaking like a servant and start speaking like the divine authority you are, your wealth will no longer be a prayer. It will be a manifestation, because the law does not delay. The law does not choose favorites. The law does not negotiate. It delivers what you speak most often. And if what you speak is truth, if what you declare is divine identity, if what you repeat is spiritual wealth, then the law must form it. The invisible must organize around it. The seen must respond to the said, because rhythm is what moves the throne. And the throne is already in motion. There is no law that allows you to flirt with fear and still inherit supply. There is no clause that permits you to speak defeat and still receive victory. There is no exception where you get to entertain the lie and still claim the truth. That is not how the law works. And I will not soften this for comfort. The law of substitution is not optional. It is not a suggestion. It is not a helpful idea to consider on spiritual Sundays. It is the dividing line between the one who speaks riches and receives them, and the one who speaks fear and then wonders why lack never leaves. This law is not passive. It does not reward emotional insight. It does not respond to hope. It does not bow to personality. It moves only by command, and command is only formed when the false is removed and replaced by the true. Substitution means replacement, not agreement, not analysis, not pondering. It means you speak one thing in the place of another, and you do it with authority, not apology. You remove the imposter, and you enthrone the truth. You stop explaining your lack, and you replace it with decree. You must understand this. The law is deaf to contradiction. It will not move for the one who speaks wealth in the morning and then speaks doubt by noon. It does not average your words. It does not balance the good with the bad. It obeys the dominant, and the dominant is not decided by intention. It is decided by rhythm. If the lie is repeated more often than the truth, the lie becomes the reality your life must obey. If fear is your first reaction and truth is your delayed recovery, then fear becomes your law, not because it is stronger, but because it is more frequent. You cannot carry a vision of wealth in your heart and then speak as though you are still behind. You cannot write affirmations and then sigh at the sight of a bill. You cannot bless your business and then tell someone, "I'm just trying to survive this month." The universe does not treat these as small slips. It records them as rulings. And the law fulfills the ruling you've spoken the most, not the one you wish would win. That is why your tongue must be trained like a soldier. Not a poet, not a philosopher, a soldier. It must know one thing only: command. You must substitute instantly, without delay, without hesitation, without needing to get in the mood. Because the moment you allow the lie to land, you have already obeyed it. The moment you say, "I don't know how I'll pay this," the law is already structuring circumstances to validate your statement. You may cry afterward. You may say, "That's not what I meant." But the law does not wait for clarification. It moves on speech, not sorrow. And if you wish to rise into your divine supply, you must develop spiritual reflexes, not feelings, not overthinking. Reflexes, meaning the moment the voice of lack tries to rise in your throat, you override it with truth. You do not pet it. You do not mourn over it. You do not share it. You strike it down. You replace it with rhythm. You substitute it with law. Let me give you an example, and I will give it to you not as advice but as instruction. The old pattern rises. Rent is coming. I'm not sure how I'll cover it. That is the old rhythm. That is the lie rehearsing itself through your nervous system. You must not let it finish. You must not let it breathe. You must strike it on the spot and say, that is a lie. All my needs are met now by divine supply. And then again, all my needs are met now by divine supply. And again, all my needs are met now by divine supply. Not quietly, not questioningly, not casually. Say it with rhythm. Say it with finality. Say it like you are issuing orders to the invisible, and you are, because what you do in that moment is not motivational. It is spiritual warfare. It is the act of casting out the unclean word and installing the decree of heaven. It is the replacement of vibration. It is the substitution of inheritance. And if you do it 3 times out loud, with no apology, you will feel it land in your system like a new instruction. The body will shift, the breath will settle, the law will respond. You must make this your new habit. You must replace every lie in real time. You must reprogram the tongue so thoroughly that it no longer entertains confusion, even for a second. The moment a doubt rises, it must be silenced. The moment a fearful thought forms, it must be outnumbered. The moment your lips start to rehearse the logic of lack, you must catch them and force the substitution. Not when you feel like it, not when it's convenient, immediately. Because wealth is not a reward. It is a result. It is not earned by effort. It is installed by rhythm. And every time you substitute the lie with law, you are shifting the entire architecture of your life. Every time you speak truth in place of defeat, you are retraining the subconscious. And the subconscious does not need convincing. It only needs repetition. It does not ask if the sentence is true. It only asks, have I heard this enough times to build around it? And once it hears it enough, it obeys. Automatically, unconditionally, without resistance. This is why the law of substitution is not soft. It is not poetic. It is not vague. It is holy. It is legal. It is binding. It does not ask, what's your background? It asks, what did you just say? It does not inquire about trauma. It inquires about pattern. And if your pattern is confusion, then your life must reflect it. If your rhythm is fear, then your environment must validate it. But if your rhythm is decree, if your pattern is wealth, if your tongue has been trained to speak nothing but divine order, then the law must obey that, and only that. You cannot speak 2 vibrations. You cannot carry 2 codes. You cannot serve 2 atmospheres. One must go. One must die. One must be replaced. And that is the work of substitution. To let the old phrase burn. To let the inherited language be replaced. To let the rhythm of heaven cancel the rhythm of man. You are not here to repeat what they said at the dinner table. You are not here to defend what your teachers told you. You are not here to make peace with the budget-conscious voice in your mind. You are here to declare divine inheritance and replace every outdated rhythm with the speech of royalty. Because the law knows no poverty except what is spoken. It recognizes no limitation unless you teach it with your words. It has no bias toward shortage unless you instruct it to recreate it. And every time you repeat the language of your past, no matter how logical, no matter how realistic, you are commanding the law to rebuild what you claim you want gone. Substitution means you no longer allow your nervous system to echo the world's fears. You no longer allow your lips to rehearse what society believes about money. You no longer say money is tight, when the truth is, supply is unlimited. You no longer say that's too expensive, when the truth is, if it is yours by divine right, it cannot be withheld. You no longer say we can't afford that, when the truth is, you are not here to afford. You are here to command. Your voice is not a commentary. It is a creative force. And when used without substitution, it becomes a curse. When used in rhythm, it becomes a wand. And the difference between being cursed by your own words or crowned by them is substitution. Will you speak the rhythm of memory or the rhythm of law? Will you repeat the identity of your parents or the decree of your divine self? Will you echo the fear of the world or the language of heaven? I say this now as law, not suggestion. You cannot continue to say both. You must choose. And once you choose the higher phrase, the higher vibration, the higher command, you must repeat it until the body believes, until the subconscious installs it, until heaven responds without delay. And it will. Not because it loves you more, not because you earned it, but because you finally spoke without contradiction. You were not born with financial fear. You were trained into it. You did not emerge from the womb believing money was scarce. You were programmed, not by cruelty, but by repetition, not by hate, but by habit, not by intention, but by inheritance. The people who raised you did not curse you, they trained you. They spoke shortage in casual tones, and your nervous system obeyed. They said, money doesn't grow on trees, and you nodded. They said, that's too expensive, and you echoed. They said, we're not that kind of people, and you submitted. Not because you lacked faith, but because no one gave you the right script. And now here you are, walking in circles, trying to build a new future with an old language. Trying to step into abundance with a tongue trained in contraction. Trying to command overflow while still carrying the rhythm of the ones who feared it. And the law, precise and obedient, continues to return to you what you never meant to request. Because the pattern hasn't changed. The declarations haven't been rewritten. The family rhythm still plays in your voice, and your world must follow it. I tell you now, you do not owe loyalty to limitation. You do not owe your grandmother's fear a place in your mouth. You do not owe your father's exhaustion a seat in your vocabulary. You do not owe your lineage the repetition of its financial trauma. What they survived was real, but it is not your rhythm. What they endured was true, but it is not your truth. The law does not recognize inheritance by blood. It recognizes inheritance by word. And if your word still agrees with their poverty, then your life must reflect it, not out of punishment, but out of precision. So you must break the rhythm. You must interrupt the script. You must cancel the sentence that was never yours to speak. Not with blame, not with rebellion, but with rhythm. Because every time you speak truth where they spoke fear, you redeem the bloodline. Every time you substitute the family phrase with divine decree, you rewire the inheritance. You do not abandon them, you lift them. You do not shame them, you free them. Because your substitution is not selfish. It is generational correction. I remember a woman who came to me, weary and ashamed. She said, Florence, I want wealth, but it feels like betrayal. My parents struggled for everything. Their whole identity was built on sacrifice, and I feel guilty imagining ease. I looked her in the eye and said, you are not betraying them. You are completing them. They survived so you could speak differently. They endured so you could declare something higher. You are not here to mimic their sacrifice. You are here to demonstrate the reward. And she wept. Not from sadness, but from recognition. She saw that her words were not disloyal, they were divine. She saw that her voice could end the cycle, not extend it, and she began, slowly, then rhythmically, to rewrite the atmosphere. She said, Where my mother whispered, "We'll never have enough," I now say, "My supply is infinite and unfolding." She said, where my father used to joke, "Rich people are all greedy," I now declare, "Wealth is holy when received under law." She said, where my house used to echo the phrase, "We can't afford that," I now speak, "If it is mine by divine right, it is already in motion." And as her rhythm changed, so did her reality. Within weeks, unexpected contracts appeared. Family members softened. Old resistance dissolved. Not because she forced it, but because she finally spoke from law, not memory. You must now ask, what phrases have I inherited that were never mine to carry? What beliefs have I adopted without questioning? What jokes, what truisms, what family rituals are blocking my wealth without my permission? Because the law does not distinguish between serious speech and casual repetition. Every phrase is seed. Every sentence is structure. Every word becomes matter. And if your mouth still carries the pattern of lack, then no amount of prayer can override the rhythm you keep authorizing. So here is your next substitution. Where they said money is tight, you say supply is infinite. Where they said you have to work hard for every dollar, you say divine ideas generate divine income, effortlessly. Where they said we don't need much, you say, I am a channel of divine wealth, and I do not apologize for overflow. You do not water down the word to sound humble. You do not shrink the sentence to sound realistic. You do not round off the truth to fit into their rhythm. You speak it as law. You speak it as final. You speak it as if heaven is waiting for the vibration, and it is. Because your subconscious is not moved by logic, it is moved by frequency, and frequency is built by speech. That is why repetition is not redundant, it is ritual. That is why declaration is not performance, it is protocol. And that is why substitution is not cute, it is crucial. Until you speak a different sentence, you will keep receiving the same results. Until you replace the rhythm, you will remain in the rotation. Until you burn the family language of lack, the law will assume you still agree with it. So I give you this instruction. Begin a substitution journal. Not tomorrow, today. Get quiet. Get honest. Write down every phrase about money you heard growing up. Every belief. Every warning. Every limit disguised as wisdom. Then, next to each one, write its replacement. Speak the replacement 3 times aloud. And every time one of those old phrases tries to rise in your mouth, intercept it. Replace it. Install the new rhythm immediately. This is not therapy. This is law. You are not just expressing emotion. You are issuing correction. You are reassigning command to the only voice the universe obeys, yours. You are not here to contemplate your childhood. You are here to rewrite it. You are not here to process your trauma. You are here to dethrone it. And the throne is only ever ruled by the one who speaks. The law of substitution requires discipline, but it also rewards immediately. Not always in numbers, but always in vibration. Not always in outcomes, but always in posture. Because when you stop speaking like the poor, you stop behaving like them. When you stop echoing survival, you start vibrating supply. And when you do it rhythmically, morning, noon, and night, the law must move. The invisible must obey. Because the pattern is now lawful and heaven is already in formation. You are not a copy of your parents' paycheck. You are not a projection of their wounds. You are not the sum total of generational logic. You are a speaker of divine rhythm, a vessel of wealth, a distributor of holy overflow. And you will not let another day go by rehearsing a rhythm that keeps you small. Speak up, replace it, burn the old phrase, build the new world. And remember this, The law is not judging you for what you inherited, but it will obey what you repeat. Wealth does not arrive because you want it. It arrives because you've become someone who cannot speak lack anymore. It arrives not by desire, but by identity. And identity is not decided in a moment. It is carved in rhythm. It is installed through consistency. It is programmed by decree. So if you're waiting for money to show up before you shift your tone, before you adjust your posture, before you declare with power, then you have reversed the law. You have put the fruit before the seed. You have tried to withdraw from an account you never spoke into. Let me make this clear. The law does not respond to hope. It responds to rhythm. And the wealth you seek is not far away. It is already circling you, hovering, waiting for a rhythm it can land on. That rhythm is your voice. That rhythm is your substitution. That rhythm is your obedience to the new language, spoken not once, not when you're in crisis, but 3 times a day until your subconscious surrenders. This is your spiritual routine, your divine architecture, your covenant schedule, and it begins the moment you wake. Before your feet touch the floor, before your mind scrolls through the day, before your hand reaches for the phone. You must speak. All channels are now open to receive, not as a hope, not as a wish, as a law, as an announcement to the unseen, as an instruction to the field that surrounds you. Say it 3 times. Say it with breath. Say it like you are unlocking the gates of wealth, and you are. Because this phrase is not motivational. It is mechanical. It resets the posture of your being from anxiety to receptivity. You are not waiting for supply. You are aligned with it. You are not blocked. You are accessed. Then at midday, when the old rhythms creep back in, when the body is tired, when the fear of the visible starts to whisper, you strike again. You speak. I expect lavish increase from the unseen. Not slight growth. Not tolerable gain. Lavish increase. The kind that confuses logic. The kind that bypasses old channels. The kind that belongs to those who speak without apology. Say it 3 times. Say it out loud. Say it like you have already been assigned the blessing and are simply claiming what was always yours. Expectation is not optimism. It is structure. It is a metaphysical posture, and the law must rush to meet it. Finally, at night, when the body sinks and the mind begins to rehearse the gaps, you must seal the day. You must install the code. You must remind the subconscious, my words of wealth are now forming into visible substance. This is not poetry. This is a transfer order. This is a spiritual wire from unseen to seen. This is the declaration that the day's rhythm has been recorded and demonstration is now in motion. You are not asking. You are not wondering. You are not bargaining. You are concluding. And conclusion is where manifestation begins. These 3 declarations, morning, noon, and night, are not affirmations. They are installations. They are not soft wishes. They are sacred codes. You must not skip them. You must not dilute them. You must not treat them like suggestions. They are law. They are order. They are the rhythm that trains your entire subconscious nervous system to stop obeying lack and start responding to spiritual wealth. And if you do them faithfully for 14 days, without apology, without exception, you will not need to ask, is it working? You will feel it. Not as emotion, but as identity. Not as hype, but as certainty. You will start walking differently, speaking differently, deciding differently. Because truth, when spoken long enough, becomes internal law. And internal law rewrites the atmosphere, not later. Now, you may say, Florence, what if I forget? Then command yourself to remember. This is not a game. This is a covenant. This is not a trial. This is a transformation. You are not trying this, you are becoming this. And becoming requires rhythm, not bursts, not moments, not inspired episodes. Rhythm. So write these 3 phrases on your mirror. Speak them before you move. Program them into your calendar. Set them as reminders on your phone. Interrupt your pattern until the new one installs. Because the old voice of poverty has already been rehearsed enough. It doesn't need another moment. It doesn't need your permission. It doesn't need reinforcement. It's done. It's fired. You are done serving it. Now hear this clearly. You are not here to chase wealth. You are here to command it. You are not here to beg for opportunity. You are here to draw it. You are not here to hustle for worth. You are here to speak worth into your frequency. And that can only happen when you stop using your voice as a weather report and start using it as a command center. Do not say what you see. Say what the law has already promised. Do not describe the appearance. Replace it. Do not echo the balance. Override it. Because until your voice becomes more loyal to the truth than it is to the bank account, you will keep manifesting contradiction. You are not a weather reporter. You are a lawmaker. You are a system reprogrammer. You are the CEO of your spiritual estate. And your spiritual estate has no interest in your emotions. It responds only to leadership. And leadership is established through substitution. What you do with your voice 3 times a day is not a spiritual experiment. It is your vote for a new world. It is your announcement of wealth in motion. So I give it to you now. Again, 3 phrases, 3 times a day, for 14 days. No breaks, no excuses, no delay. Morning, all channels are now open to receive. Midday, I expect lavish increase from the unseen. Evening, my words of wealth are now forming into visible substance. If you do this, the old wealth identity will dissolve. The old phrases will fade. The body will soften. The mind will shift. And the atmosphere will bow. Not because you earned it, but because you finally declared it. You have spoken lack long enough. You have rehearsed the old phrases until they felt like personality. You have described what you did not want over and over and called it honesty. But the law is not impressed by honesty. It is moved by authority. It is executed through rhythm, and it is enforced by your mouth. So now, we no longer speak as survivors. We no longer explain our financial condition. We no longer use our words to manage perception. We use our words to enforce heaven, to legislate truth, to activate inheritance. Because the spiritually wealthy do not speak for sympathy, they speak for structure. They do not ask for blessing, they issue the command that makes blessing inevitable. You must now speak as they speak. Not because you feel wealthy, but because you've chosen to be lawful. Not because your bank account reflects it, but because your spirit already owns it. And when the voice is synchronized with divine truth, all matter must align, not in mystery, but in rhythm. Let me now give you the declarations that finalize the substitution, that rewire the subconscious, that break the final threads of financial illusion. Say, I am rich in spirit, therefore rich in form. You are not waiting to become someone who deserves wealth. You are already divinely credentialed. The world is not your source. Spirit is. And when your spirit recognizes wealth as identity, the body must follow. Say, money is drawn to my vibration of truth. You do not hustle for validation. You do not perform to receive. Your very vibration emits clarity. And money does not chase confusion. It is summoned by alignment. It is magnetized by rhythm. Say, I speak only what I wish to see. No more rehearsing overdrafts. No more reciting debt. No more joking about being broke. Every phrase you utter is either planting prosperity or fertilizing defeat. You will not say what you do not want birthed. Say, my supply is never delayed, only commanded. The law is not confused. The channels are not broken. The delivery is not lost. If wealth has not arrived, it is not because it is missing. It is because it has not yet been claimed consistently. You fix that now. Say, every word I speak is substance made visible. Your voice is not background noise. It is the architect of your environment. It does not document facts. It installs realities. So from now on, every word is chosen, shaped, and spoken as a tool of divine construction. Now seal it. Because I align with law, I cannot remain broke. It is no longer a matter of motivation. It is no longer a matter of effort. It is a metaphysical impossibility. If you obey the rhythm, if you substitute with discipline, if you speak from identity, lack cannot stay. It will shrivel in your presence. It will be unable to thrive in your frequency. It will lose all rights to remain. This is not about making wealth a goal. This is about making it your legal default. And once spoken into form, with consistency, wealth no longer needs to be chased. It must appear, not as a surprise, but as a sentence fulfilled. You are now the one who speaks rhythm. You are now the one who commands matter. You are now the one who rewrote the family rhythm, not by escaping it, but by overriding it. Not with effort, but with language. Not with doubt, but with decree. If these words have entered your system and exposed what needed to go, if they have stirred the memory of your divine estate, then you must do one final act to secure the new vibration. You must write it. Write in the comments, not for attention, but for activation. Write the line that broke the old agreement. Write the new decree that will guide your next 21 days. Write, I align with the law of substitution, or write your personal command. And when you write it, you confirm it. When you confirm it, you install it. When you install it, the law begins its work. And now you must not stop. You must return. You must repeat. You must refuse to let this be a moment. Make it a rhythm. Speak again tomorrow. Install again tomorrow. Obey again tomorrow. The law does not require perfection. It requires repetition. And the wealth you were born to carry is already standing by, awaiting your rhythm. You are not broke. You were never designed to be broke. That was a lie dressed up in realism, soaked in memory, passed down through stories that had no business staying in your mouth. But now the voice has been redeemed. The sentence has been substituted. And the law is listening. Speak and it will obey.